Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder. It's our First NBC Bank Weekend Review, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 39 locations throughout the metropolitan area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. The New Orleans Saints kept their faint playoff hopes alive in a shootout in the desert as they outgunned the Arizona Cardinals 48-41. Great afternoon for Drew Brees. Great afternoon for Brandon Cooks. And a good victory over a team that had the #1 defense in the NFL.
You know, as we touched on, these are two teams that are essentially out of it. Yeah, do the Saints have slim playoff hopes? Yes. Did Arizona go into the week with slim playoff hopes? Yes. But here's the thing to remember. You talk about desperation and, you know, who wants it more and things like that. The Saints, really on offense, had been a team that was struggling the last couple of weeks, had a little bit something more to show, and you saw it out there. You saw a prideful team. We've seen this time and time again, unfortunately, with them. They managed to play well at the end of the year when things don't matter as much. Now, will that finish up the final 2 games of the year? Perhaps. We'll see how it all plays out.
Well, the Saints, of course, have Tampa Bay coming up, and whether or not they have a shot at a playoff berth is contingent upon the Panthers beating the Redskins on Monday Night Football. Stay tuned. We'll see what transpires with that. And then a lot of talk about Mark Ingram and about Sean Payton. Ingram and his antics after being taken out before Tim Hightower scored a touchdown. Sean Payton about some guys reporting, Jason La Canfora among those, maybe the Saints would consider trading Payton since he has a long-term contract here. I think that's premature. I respect La Canfora, but I think it's premature. And as for Ingram, I think that needs to be taken care of behind closed doors. That kind of behavior can't be exhibited publicly, not just in front of fans, but also in front of teammates.
Fans, teammates, social media, whatever it is, there's too many ways to put these things out there. We saw it 2 weeks earlier with Brandon Cooks complaining about not getting the ball in the Rams game, or 3 weeks ago, I should say. But look, the whole Peyton situation, yeah, you're probably not going to get as much now because you're going to be asking somebody perhaps to absorb a contract or renegotiate a deal, whatever the case may be. Yeah, obviously he's paid very handsomely. The Saints still owe him a lot of money based on the new deal that he signed in the offseason. Is it time for him to, you know, we were having this discussion last year. Of course, what the compensation was going to be was probably going to be a lot less or a lot more because he was owed a lot less. And hey, let's see how this all plays out. These days in the NFL, nothing would surprise me.
Well, it wouldn't look good considering you just made that decision to give him the long-term lucrative extension, but you do what you have to do. I think he'll be back next year personally. Where the Pelicans are concerned, another loss, this time at San Antonio, to the Spurs. Tim Duncan had his jersey retired, and the Spurs played like the Spurs. The Pelicans competed for a while, but just outgunned in this game.
They're not good enough to beat teams in the Southwest Division. In the West, they were playing in the Eastern Conference. It might be better. They've actually got a winning record against the East right now. And they've got Philadelphia Tuesday night. Then they've got Miami coming to town on Friday. In between, you got a very good Oklahoma City team. With Russell Westbrook coming to town. So, and actually that starts 5 in a row at home here. So a chance during the holidays, you got the family in town, you're looking for something to do, you got a chance to go see some basketball.
Now, Philadelphia is a team that beat the Pelicans at home, so the Pelicans clearly owe them one at this point in time. Leonard Fournette not playing in LSU's bowl game and skipped their banquet. He's getting ready for the NFL draft, and he doesn't stand alone because we saw McCaffrey decided to do the same thing at Stanford and Lenny. I think therein lies the scenario, not the problem, but the scenario. These guys are getting advice from people that are looking out for perceived to be their best interest. I would hope that's the case. You know who they are. They're family members and agents. And listen, in my mind, if you're a very high draft pick, which Fournette certainly will be, and McCaffrey likely will be, it's pretty sound advice. It's disappointing because I know we would like to have seen him go out playing in his final game in a bowl game and leading LSU to a win. But considering the injuries he's had this year and considering his plight and considering the way NFL scouts and NFL coaches and general managers look at running backs, I understand the decision.
I do too. And I think what it said, there's 2 things that come to mind immediately. One was the horrible injury by the Notre Dame lineman in the Fiesta Bowl last year. And I think that's probably put some of this in motion for some people because he cost themselves a lot of money with that injury. And look, Fiesta Bowl is a New Year's 6 game. I get that. But it wasn't a playoff game. And let's face it, if you're not in the top 4 and in the playoffs, these bowl games are glorified exhibitions. What do they determine at this point? Yeah, maybe it's a bonus for a coach or something like that. But to these young men, other than the gear they're going to get and the chance to make a nice trip for a week, what are they getting out of it? Not a lot. And to risk your professional career with perhaps a bad injury happening in one of these games, I totally get it.
And the impact of Matt Canada, not one but two previously committed quarterbacks to the Tigers, are back in the fold. Miles Brennan, St. Stanislaus, Lowell Narcisse of St. James, both recommitting, reaffirming what they had committed to early, that they will attend LSU.
Well, it's December the 19th. They still got time to change their mind and make it, change it back again if they want to. Well, Narcisse is going to enroll in January, so he could sign papers. But these guys who aren't actually signing until February 1st, counting it down, we're only 6 weeks away from signing day, they still got plenty of time to change their mind 6 different times again. That's the unfortunate thing about recruiting as we know it now.
And a local young man, Justice McCoy out of St. Augustine, who decommitted from FAU after Lane Kiffin got the job, who now commits to Colorado State, so we'll get a chance to see him play in FCS football.
Yeah, Mike Bobo, the former Georgia offensive coordinator, is the head coach there. So it's, look, good for him, and there's a lot of talented quarterbacks that have come out of the New Orleans area this year who you'll be seeing playing on a Division I level going forward.
Last but not least, the Arno Carriers New Orleans Bowl. A good game, 28-21 Southern Miss. A winner. Crowd was good, not great, and the game was good, not great. But it was entertaining, and it was good for New Orleans.
And it was long. The gun didn't sound until 12:05, but that's okay. Look, what is it meant to do? It's meant to bring tourists to New Orleans at a time of year that's slow. That was the intent of the Sugar Bowl some 80 years ago when they started. This week before Christmas is not a big tourism time, so it brings people into the city at a time. The unfortunate thing is this, is that Southern Miss, needed an upset of Louisiana Tech the last week to clinch a bowl berth. UL Lafayette needed to win its last 2, including an upset of Arkansas State to clinch a bowl berth. So this was not something that was on these fans' radar until the very last minute. That is why you didn't end up with the crowd. I think people had other plans. UL Lafayette just wrapped up the spot, and these two teams both didn't get their spot until 13 days ago. Or 13 days before the game, I should say. And that just didn't allow for the planning that you would expect, even though it was a close drive for both of them.
That's our First NBC Bank weekend preview, brought to you by First NBC Bank, with 39 locations throughout southeast Louisiana and into the Florida Panhandle. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. Have a good week.
All right, we'll see you later this week.
You do as well. Thanks for joining us. Until later in the week, God bless you.